Aboriginal people, and especially children that have been removed.
Thank you. Again, I'm going to acknowledge that I'm on land that was never ceded. I'm not from here. I'm a Dara woman from my mother, her mother, her mother, forever back. Forever back. I grew up in the Minjabul community, so I consider myself part of the Bundjalung Nation too now. I wrote this article 2 months ago, and it's gotten a great response. It's to do with identity. I'm not going to read the whole article, I'm going to read the parts that are pertinent today. Identity, assimilation, genocide, transgenerational trauma. Today is Sorry Day, the 26th of May. Today is my grandmother's birthday. My grandmother I never know, my grandmother who was stolen, so I'm doing this for her and for my mother. I highlight the issue of identity because I've heard it said that recognition and identity is only a small issue compared with the health, housing, education, employment and criminal justice statistics that describe our situation today. I first point this out to demonstrate how imposed definitions blatantly attempted our genocide in the past. And I further point this out because this attempted genocide is absolutely, unequivocally responsible for our fourth world socio-economic conditions that we live through today. Finally, I point this out because our current low life expectancy, high infant mortality rate, incarceration and deaths in custody ratio and child removal rates that far surpass stolen generations rates, they tell the tale. These facts and figures speak to a government who still do not care. Although they have changed the terminology and phrasing of their policies, the effects of their actions and interference is ongoing, yet with even worse outcomes than at the times the Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths in Custody and the Bringing Them Home report were published. I'm addressing this to non-Indigenous authorities so that they can recognise where they are located in the continuum of oppression and hopefully make the decision that racism stops with them, to become our allies instead of remaining as obstacles in allowing our babies and even ourselves to feel as valued and as strong as we should, as we must. When you tell me you don't look Aboriginal, you are denying that I am Aboriginal. To deny that I am Aboriginal is to deny that my grandmother was taken by welfare because she was Aboriginal, by the dictates of past government policies. To deny that she was taken because she was Aboriginal is to deny that the government's objective was genocide. To deny that they attempted genocide of Aboriginal people. To deny that the government's objective was genocide is to deny that the government is responsible for the widespread decimation of Aboriginal language, traditions, land rights and intact family trees today. To deny that there is no widespread crisis of identity and transgenerational trauma within communities, within families, within individuals, in our entire country. That's to deny our lived reality. And when you deny us our reality, you deny us our humanity. So when you tell me you don't look Aboriginal, it goes much further than just skin deep. Regardless of your intentions, when you tell me you don't look Aboriginal, you are nevertheless still guilty of perpetuating violence control through your embodiment of racist values. You are acting as a vehicle of oppression, an agent of history and part of the framework that continues the legacies of past assimilation policies. Does this come as a shock to you? Are you in denial? This is where the recognition of your privilege must come into play. You must locate your beliefs in the historical and spatial continuum of oppression. And only then will you realise that you're an agent acting out this culture. Conversely, you will then be responsible to be an agent of change. With knowledge comes responsibility, because education without action does nothing. By subscribing to the Dulux colour card myth of Aboriginality, you are continuing the work of past welfare and government institutions who held colour swatches up to the skin of black babies before they ripped them from their mother's arms. They grouped these babies according to tone, often separating siblings by this completely arbitrary division that could change seasonally with the strength of the sun. Further to this, it was an actual division in many cases, where sister and brother were physically separated not only from their mother but also from each other. This was the case with my grandmother, who was taken from her Aboriginal mother at the age of 4, along with her 7-month-old brother, never for any of them to see each other again, ever again. Yes, they took their heartbreak to their graves. So for me and mine, colour is not just an objective judgment of a visual hue, it has a crushing historical weight that has crippled all of my family members, each in their own way. So when you tell me you don't look Aboriginal, this shameful historical legacy reaches to me from the past to haunt me to this very day. When you tell me you don't look Aboriginal, my deep running empathy and my overactive imagination come into play. I imagine and feel like what this meant to me if I had been born 100, 80, 60, 40 years ago. And I consider myself lucky that I was born in the year of Orwell's hell, 1984. Although my mum still did instill in us her very deep fear of the welfare, so that we knew how to perform for society and never draw attention to ourselves. Because growing up as we did, with a single Aboriginal mother, if we had not performed well and hidden ourselves, or if we had been born 10 years earlier, there is a statistical probability that we would have been taken too. Do not misunderstand me. We were very much loved and we were always supported. We weren't abused and we were never in any danger. However, we never had any money, and poverty is criminal in the eyes of the welfare. So when you tell me you don't look Aboriginal, you're telling me how lucky I am to have been born when I was. When you tell me you don't look Aboriginal, I imagine that you are the welfare with the authority of government policies behind your words, and that you have the power to take me from my mother and my brothers, and in a way you have, because I step back in time into the known stories of my grandmother's life. My grandmother, who never knew me, walks with me every day in the only form I have ever known her. I look very much like her, and it's not just her features that have left her mark on me. Her entire life story haunts mine, and I continue to try and make sense of myself in the context of her struggles. Everything I learn, everything I teach, everything I research comes back to this. She walks inside me every day and I have an ongoing relationship with her. I have an obligation to ensure that what she suffered through is known and also that it stops. So when you tell me you don't look Aboriginal, you've taken me away from my family and into her life. When you tell me you don't look Aboriginal, I feel viscerally my grandmother's pain. I panic in the knowledge that I will never see my mother again, that every letter I write to her will not receive an answer, that instead of the girls' home guardians telling me the truth that they are not passing on her replies to me, they instead tell me that she has forgotten about me and that she doesn't love me. I am paralysed by the knowledge that my mother will not be there when I am sick, when I need her to love me. I will never hear her voice again, nor smell her skin, or have her kiss me goodnight. Ever, ever again, forever, never. She will never pass on parenting practices to me, and the adults I have as parent figures are in turn abusive, cold and transient, all unloving. These early role models imprint on me, and my first escape from them is straight into the arms and wedlock of a man with an uncanny resemblance to these early caregivers. My mother will not be there when I am married, when I'm in labour, when I'm sick, and when I die too young. She will not be there for my children when I need her to love them. So when you tell me you don't look Aboriginal, you have taken my mother from me. You have taken my world from me. When you tell me you don't look Aboriginal, my breath catches, knowing that if not for the grace of my being born when I was, then I would never see my 5 brothers again. As we, joined to each other through our mum, We were glued to each other through our close upbringing, but some of us have different dads, creating a beautiful diversity within our obvious similarities. But that because we have different skin colours, body types, nose shapes and eye colours, we would not be deemed similar enough in the eyes of the law to remain together as would support our basic human dignity. That some of us would grow up in cold, hard institutions, trained for domestic or menial labour, according to our gender, yet regardless of our gender as befits our darker skin. That the others would be adopted into a white family to become their chattel, neglecting to nourish our connection to our true culture, denying us our rightful inheritance, severing who we are from who they want us to be, and therefore butchering our very being. Placed far apart, names changed and changed and changed again. We would never even know where to start looking for each other as adults. And so we would all live out the rest of our lives as only and lonely children. So when you tell me you don't look Aboriginal, you are tearing me from my big brothers and my little brothers, all of my strong brothers. You are dictating that we have different work and different levels of usefulness according to your cold and convenient colour-coordinated doctrine. When you tell me you don't look Aboriginal, you are alerting me to the fact that if left unchecked and uncorrected, you will continue to keep the hard-to-kill but not yet obsolete White Australia policy alive and well. I do hope you might leave that in the past where it belongs. I also hope you might get with the times. When you comment, I wonder who you are and what power you wield in the world, and what influence you have on Aboriginal people. Are you a social worker, a teacher, a doctor, a cop, a magistrate? Are you a screw? When you tell me you don't look Aboriginal, you make me wonder whether you can change your course, change your position, catalyse reconciliation, and continue on as an embodiment of alliance, acceptance, validation, respect, and healing that our cultures have so sorely missed from you.
Thanks, Michaela. Yeah, I think that just goes to show how a lot of our young people out there today are probably walking through this life without any of those teachings from their parents.